Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how the law all across the Western world, the law, indeed jurisprudence itself, is being disassembled, is being turned into a toy or a plaything to try and push globalist, SJW, activist, social values and social structural values on the rest of the population, on an unwilling population. Now, it's an undeclared war against the majority. It's being done through clandestine means of subterfuge, through the courts, through activist judges, activist magistrates, activist lawyers, activist prosecutors, activist DAs, activist attorney generals, and so on. Now, they're not declaring that, hey, guess what we're doing? We're undermining and tearing up the law and throwing the law out the window. They don't say that. They say that they're trying to do something good. Well, we're only trying to stop Nazis. We're only against insurrectionists. That's we're only trying to protect women. We're only looking after children. We're only trying to stop racism. Those are the labels they give to it. But make no mistake, they're trying to throw the law and the very practice of law out the window and just turn courts into some ideological star chambers where accused straight white males are just taken, yep, guilty, and that's how they want to. And we're heading there at breakneck speed. We can look at, say, cases like Kyle Rittenhouse, as 100% innocent as he was. We now look at those with surprise. I mean, it's almost an aberration given the way things are at the moment out there, all across the Western world. Now, here's a case, and this is just how much the law is being used as a toy and a plaything for the activists, and how the body politic in the West, the Department of Prosecutions, and the entire legal establishment is owned and run by the globalists. It's there to serve the interests of the globalists and the social division that they want to sow. Now, here's a case where a young girl has declared that her boss has, in her view, she feels belittled. That's it. There's no violence. There's no bullying. There's no thuggery or there's nothing illegal. It's just the nicey, that nice little thing. I'm a little girly princess. I'm a little princess, and he's belittled me. And I'm going to treat that fucking misogynist straight white male, and I'm going to take it to court. Now, you'd see normally a court would throw it out, or no one would be bothered with it. It's a joke, but no. This matter is going to the federal court, and in a tightly, what appears to be, in my view at least, tightly coordinated campaign, a lot of very prominent women have come out, right on cue. As soon as this young girl announces what she's doing, filing a lawsuit, these very prominent women all come out, all with gushing. The misogynists have got to be held to account. Damn Nazis, every one of them, and so the publicity this is getting is crescendo level. There's a GoFundMe page. There's all this sort of stuff going on now. If you're Kyle Rittenhouse and you're 100% innocent, do a GoFundMe, they'll shut you down. No fucking GoFundMe for Kyle. But if you're a little girly and you're so upset about being belittled, then sure, you can get the fucking GoFundMe, no problem. Now, it's going to be, depending on how long it goes and twists and the turns, it's going to be somewhere minimum of 50, 60,000 up to, say, $200,000 for this case. Now, this girl couldn't afford this in a million years, but with GoFundMe, she's up there having a go. I would suspect there'll be NGO lawyers coming in for free that'll be representing her, or maybe they'll be paid through the back door somehow. But she's getting up there, and clearly they want a precedent case. This case shouldn't even see the light of day, let alone a courtroom. But from certainly the way it looks, it's going to go to court and going to go to a full hearing. Now, there may be a settlement beforehand, in which case it'll be a brazen shakedown. Now, the man concerned is probably a middle-of-the-road guy. I suppose you'd call him a public figure to some extent, at least. Seems a middle-of-the-road guy, hardly radical. And the argument is, as I understand it, the young woman was supposed to be managing his social media pages. She was throwing in a sort of very feminist, globalist type spin on the material that he was giving her. He wasn't happy with that, and he complained about it. So she's basically saying, "I want to be a radical feminist in the workplace and be paid for it," and he's complaining about it. So I'll take him to court. And this seems to be, as best I can judge, the situation. And now I don't know whether you, if you say, "Well, I feel belittled," gee whiz, she hasn't worked with some of the bosses I've had to put up with. If she says she feels belittled, I mean, the childishness of that, it just shows she's a fucking 12-year-old, pretending to be an adult. But that's how it is in the workplace now. The infantilization of women and minorities and so on has just gathered apace. So any responsible straight white male who takes responsibility and all this sort of thing is going to be surrounded by, given all the affirmative action hiring and all that, is going to be surrounded by people who've got the emotional age of 12. They've been waved through high school, waved through college. They're just low IQ flunkies who wouldn't work up a sweat in a pressure cooker, and here they are complaining that they're not being appreciated enough or something like that. That's the sort of thing you'd say to a family member or a boyfriend or girlfriend or something like that. You don't do that to your boss. I mean, you're there to do a job. Just get on with it, for goodness sakes. Now, maybe it'll be proven, and I don't know. You've got to imagine that a very keen activist, feminist, all men are misogynist lawyer is going to rush to her side, and we've got to assume that they'll make sure that an activist judge hears the case. You can close to guarantee those two things. So it's possible, and remember, they want a precedent, and the globalist-controlled government and globalist-controlled legal establishment, they're quite happy with the idea of a precedent. That means more damn straight white misogynist males can be brought to book. Now, if there'd been violence or screaming and pushing and shoving, and she'd been following instructions and so on, but the idea she hasn't been accepting directives and has wanted to go off on her own little crusade, that should in itself be enough to say, hey, this isn't going to go to court. But a lot of very prominent activist women have come out now and encouraging her and saying how terrible she's a victim of this wicked patriarchy and misogyny. And so we've got to assume there's a decent chance that given the the globalist politics that run through, an ideology that runs through the legal system these days, all across the Western world, she's got a decent chance of getting up. Should it even happen? Should it even get to court? And of course not. Of course not. Little juvenile princess delinquent carrying on like that, and shouldn't have seen the light of day. But that's where we are in the Western world now, and I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.